Welcome to the Management Advantage. One of the biggest problems that faces land managers here in the Southeast is undesirable hardwood brush taking up valuable nutrients from your wildlife food as well as your timber stand. On today's show, we're going to discuss several methods that you landowners can use to help eliminate this undesirable brush from your property. Stay tuned, we'll be back in a moment.
Welcome to the Management Advantage, gaining the advantage through proper land management with your host, Chuck Sykes, who is dedicated to sound wildlife management practices and principles that will help both sportsmen and landowners get the optimum potential from their land. Sponsored by Realtree, the camouflage revolution begins here. Holland Grill, nothing else stacks up. Motorola, share your adventure. The Whitetail Institute of North America. Deer Nutrition is all we do. Augusta Turf and Specialty Vehicle, the exclusive home of the Team Realtree Edition Easy Go Workhorse ST480. Arsenal by BASF. The Lodge of Louisiana and the BASF Vegetative Group.
A lot of you landowners have the same goals in mind when it comes to managing your property. You want to maximize the timber and maximize your wildlife, and that cannot be accomplished when you're having to deal with all of this brush. It's taking up nutrients away from your trees. It's shading out the forest floor where your good wildlife food can't grow. So ways to eliminate or help eliminate this hardwood brush is by burning, pre-commercial thinning, and chemical release. Now there are several more, but those are the three that we're going to focus on today's show. Now if you'll remember from last week, we showed you how to prescribe burn on your property. Burning does a good job on small hardwoods, a little bit smaller than this, but once they get up around this size, and especially this size, you have a hard time killing it with fire. It might look like you kill the top of it, but you've still got roots under there. And if you burn up one, you're gonna have 10 more just like it come back. So we're gonna carry you to an area that was burnt in late February. It's now the 1st of May, and what looked excellent in February looked like you had 100% release. We've got green stuff coming back. So we're going to take you to that area, let you take a look at it, and then show you another way that you can help control this remaining brush. Folks, this area that I'm standing in now was burned in late February, and it looked like we had a real good kill on our hardwood. But as you can see behind me, we didn't. The tops of these older sweet gums are already coming back, but that's not the biggest problem. Look at this little red oak right here. All right, and at first glance, you'd say this tree's dead. Break the top out of it, it's still dead. But look right down here. That's root sprouts, y'all, coming back. So yes, you did. You eliminated that tree right there. It's just as dead as a hammer. But you still left the root stock. So burning alone, in a lot of cases, will not eliminate this brush. You have to keep burning year after year after year. Now I want y'all to go with me and Lee Bass of Green South Land and Timber in an area where we used pre-commercial thinning to help control the brush species under our pine stand.
A lot of folks like to regenerate their pine stands naturally, and that works fine if you've got a good parent stock. But one of the problems you might run into is too many trees per acre. They don't have any room to grow, and they're not even getting any sunlight in there.
Right, we have no wildlife value in there. The competition on the pines is not going to let them do what they should do. So how we combat this is by pre-commercial thinning. So come right over here with us and we'll show you what this looked like
after we carried a crew in and did some pre-commercial thinning.
This is much better, Chuck. We come from almost 20,000 stems per acre over there down to around 600 stems per acre.
Which is what you need. Now
That's
these
right.
trees have got room to grow, they've got sunlight on all sides, and look at the difference. I mean, it's just a solid mat of honeysuckle and greenbrier and all the good things. So the pre-commercial thinning will do wonders on natural regen.
We'll keep it growing.
Folks, prescribed burning and pre-commercial thinning will help reduce the amount of hardwood brush that you have to contend with. But a lot of times, it's just a quick fix. As you saw from the burning, root sprouts can come back. Same goes with the pre-commercial thinning, especially in a lot of hardwoods now. You're killing the top of the tree, but you're not doing anything to kill those roots, and they're gonna come back. My personal favorite hardwood brush control method is chemical release. The chemical I like to use is Arsenal. Now I'm gonna let Michelle Eisenberg, who is a forest product specialist from BASF, explain how Arsenal works, the species that we target with it, the wildlife species that come in and recolonize after an application, so you can use this product to help improve the quality of your wildlife habitat.
Michelle, I want you to explain to everybody why they need to be using Arsenal to help gain control over sites like this that's just full of hardwood brush.
Well, folks, you've seen earlier in the show some of the other ways that you can eliminate your brush under stands, such as burning or pre-commercial thinning. And what you're basically doing there is you're killing or knocking back the vegetation from the ground level up. And with Arsenal herbicide, you are effectively killing the plant through spraying Arsenal on the plant and killing the root system. So therefore, you're getting a much better kill than when you would just do a prescribed burning or pre-commercial thin.
All right, now you're saying we're killing the plant below the surface of the ground.
That's correct.
How does Arsenal get from the leaf down into the plant and do what it does?
That's a great question, Chuck. A lot of people wonder how that exactly happens. And what Arsenal is doing is you are spraying it onto the leaf surface of a plant, and what is happening is the plant is taking that up just like you would take up water into it, and is translocating throughout the system of the plant. And essentially what the herbicide is then doing to the plant is it's starving it so that it has no longer the capacity to make food and feed itself.
All right, now that you've explained to everybody why they need to use Arsenal, how can they apply it?
Good question, Chuck. A very common way that you can apply Arsenal herbicide is with a helicopter right over the top of your plantation. If you're unable to get a contract applicator with helicopters to come out and spray, you can also look at getting a skidder that's going to go underneath your plantation and spray your site.
Okay, that's great for a large landowner that's got numerous acres to do, but what about a small landowner that, for example, wants to do it himself?
Sure. Most folks do want to spray Arsenal themselves, actually. They like to take a part of their application. So you can outfit your four-wheeler with a spray tank and spray it that way. You can put on a backpack and spray it. You also can do a hack and squirt method. Folks, now you know how Arsenal herbicide works and how it can control some of that tough understory hardwood brush. Let's look at some of these species out in the woods so that you can identify them yourselves. Yellow poplar, sweet gum, sumac, oak, as well as will control hickory, privet, and sourwood. And there's multiple other species that will also control.
Once you eliminate this hardwood brush component, that's going to allow sunlight to get down on the floor. And it's going to promote growth of a lot of your native vegetation. Now, some of the plants that are tolerant and recolonize shortly after an Arsenal application are bicolors or Lespedezas,
Greenbrier, you can have blackberry or dewberry,
partridge pea, your legumes, and most of your herbaceous vegetation that are beneficial to wildlife really recolonize after an Arsenal application. Now I want you to go with Lee Bass and I, and we're going to take you through several stages: a before Arsenal spray, after, 1 year after, where you can see the growth come back,
and then an area that was sprayed and then burned, and y'all can really see some dramatic results on how you can control your hardwood brush.
Chuck, we're out here in the stand of timber that we're trying to grow, and look at all this brush that's choking it out.
And this is pretty much typical for a lot of unmanaged areas here in the southeast. All these brush species, sweet gums, little oaks, little poplars and things like that come up in these pine plantations, and not only does it take away from the timber, it doesn't look nice, and there's no wildlife value out here. This stuff is just taking up space and taking up nutrients, and you're not getting any value out of it at all. So the way we combat this is come in with either helicopter or backpack crew, and we use arsenal to control this woody brush. Come go with us, we'll show you what it looks like after it gets a good dose of arsenal.
Folks, we come right across the road. You can see how it looked all lush and green back over there where we were, and we showed you all that competition. This is the area that we've sprayed with the arsenal, and you can see where it's killed all this brush back.
Now, at first glance, that area across the road looks like there's plenty of food out there because it's pretty and green. Well, when you knock the leaves off of these sweet gums with that arsenal, you can see there's absolutely nothing on the forest floor for the game to eat. So we're going to take you across the road to an area that we sprayed 2 years ago, and we'll show you how fast all that wildlife food recolonizes once you let a little sunlight get on the floor.
Folks, you can see the skeletons of the brush that we controlled with the arsenal, killed it, and look at the understory of vegetation we've got coming up now.
I mean, what a difference a year makes on a little sunlight. The last spot that we left was nothing but a few sweet gum skeletons standing around. You give it 1 year, you've got bicolor coming back, ragweed, partridge pea, blackberry, dewberry, honeysuckle, greenbrier. What more could you ask for your wildlife food? Now, in conjunction with the herbicide, you can also run a fire through it to help clean up some of the hard to kill species, and it also brings your undergrowth like this to manageable levels, especially for you quail hunters out there. So we're going to go show you a spot that we used the arsenal and came back in and run a fire through it, and you'll see what we're talking about. Now, the area that we're in now was sprayed with arsenal by helicopter in September, and we came back in January with a cool backfire. And you can see what it did to the height of the undergrowth. We've still got everything that we need with the greenbrier and the honeysuckle and so forth and so on, just like we did in the last block, but it puts it at manageable levels for you. You bird hunters, you can watch your dogs run down through here, and deer hunters, you can get up in a tree and the deer still feel comfortable in here, but you can see them moving around better. Turkeys like to walk up and down these roads and pick bugs and all this new growth. That's at a manageable height. So down here, it's hard to control hardwood species with just fire. Lee will tell you, if you burn it, you kill one, but 10 more come back in its place. So we use an arsenal to gain control of the area, then we use fire to keep it maintained. Today's Holland Grill cooking segment, we're going to be preparing spiced apple grilled turkey breast. Now, the ingredients we're going to need is turkey breast, allspice seasoning, brown sugar, salt and pepper, Brad seasoning salt, and apple juice. Now, the first thing we're going to do, we've got one turkey breast, and we're just going to sprinkle it with some black pepper and a little bit of salt. And generously apply your Carolina seasoning mix. Then we're going to take our turkey breast, put it on our preheated grill. All right, now to prepare this turkey breast, you want to cook it about 15 minutes per pound of meat. That breast half there weighs probably 2 pounds, maybe a little more. So we're going to cook it about 35 to 40 minutes. And we're going to leave that on for 15 minutes, approximately half the cooking time. Then the next step of the recipe is to baste it with the mixture that we're fixing to make right now. Now the mixture calls for 2/3 of a cup of apple juice, 1 teaspoon of crushed
allspice, 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. Now it's time to baste. Our apple juice, brown sugar, and allspice. That will about get it. What we got left to do, we're going to leave it for 15 more minutes. Then we're going to come back sample it and see how it tastes. See what it's going to taste like. If it's anything at all like it smells, falling apart. Oh my goodness, that's good. Folks, this is just another simple and easy recipe on how you can use your Holland grill for your favorite wild game dinner. We'll see you next week right here on the Holland Grill cooking segment.
Remember to send your recipes to CS Wildlife Services at mindspring.com. Your recipe may be featured on a future show.
Today we'd like to talk about a question that we got via the email here at the Whitetail Institute. It's a question that we get quite often, and that question is, now that we have our food plots established, they're working well, growing well for us, what else can we do for our nutritional management program? Well, as we have talked about in weeks earlier, the next step really involves a mineral vitamin supplement. Mineral and vitamin being very important in the nutritional program for the entire deer herd, for does, for fawns, and also for bucks. After all, remember that a hardened antler is 55% mineral, so obviously it's very important. Well, what are the aspects to a mineral vitamin supplement? Well, first of all, you have to have the right types of minerals and vitamins. They have to be in the right amounts. They have to be formulated for deer, and they have to be in the right ratios. Types of minerals that need to be involved in a mineral vitamin supplement is going to be your macro minerals such as calcium and phosphorus and magnesium, trace minerals such as copper and zinc and selenium, and your fat-soluble vitamins, vitamins A, D, and E. Now when I talk about ratios, what I simply mean by that is they have to be in the right proportions. They have to be formulated correctly, and again, specifically for deer. We kind of look at it this way. It's like a cake mix. If a cake mix calls for 2 cups of sugar and 1 teaspoon of salt, and you reverse that, you may end up with a cake mix, but it isn't going to taste very good. And deer minerals and the formulation of deer minerals are exactly the same way. They need to be in the right amounts. Well, in 1991, the Whitetail Institute developed the first ever mineral vitamin supplement designed specifically for deer, and that's Imperial 30-06 mineral vitamin supplement. Later on, in 1995, we developed 30-06 Plus Protein, which contains all the vital minerals and vitamins found in 30-06, but also now contains an added 10% protein boost. The last thing we'd like to discuss is an issue of salt. A lot of the minerals and vitamin supplements out there on the market contain a very, very high level of salt. Well, salt does work as an attractant, but the misconception is that you'll actually improve antlers with a salt lick. Salt does very little for antler growth. Sodium is only about 0.3% of a hardened antler, so therefore obviously doesn't do much for antler growth. If you want to attract deer and improve antler quality and the entire herd health, look for a good quality mineral vitamin supplement like 30-06 or 30-06 Plus Protein.
We covered a lot of information today on the management advantage, and if you're interested in getting more information on what we talked about today, deer management in general, food plots, and mineral supplements and the benefits they provide, we're offering a free video and also a sample of Imperial Whitetail Clover for you to try. All you'll do is pay $4.95 for shipping and handling. Call 1-800-688-3030.
Now usually, when we put a hunt on a show, it's got something to do with the management of the day. Well, today's going to be different. This hunt doesn't have anything to do with hardwood brush control, but I'm going to show it to you because I'm the one that actually gets to do the shooting. It's the first time that I've touched a gun in 2 years. So I want you to go with me, Mr. Bill Nunn, and Mike Murphy running the camera on a last day Alabama turkey hunt. folks, sometimes you have to resort to crawling. No, I just knew they wasn't coming. I mean, we had sat there for so long, and there was probably 15 hens down up under that hill. So,
Well,
it's not the textbook turkey hunt, but sometimes you got to resort to those measures if you're gonna get one. That's reality turkey hunting. When it comes to the last day of the season, sometimes you have to resort to different tactics to make it a successful hunt. And we hope on today's show you learned something about hardwood brush control. We've given you several avenues to accomplish it. So maybe you can pick out the one that fits your property's needs as well as your pocketbook's needs. Now, if you want to know more information about Arsenal or any other BASF product, you can check them out on the web at forestryfacts.com. Folks, this is just one more way that we're helping you gain the advantage through proper management. We'll see you next week right here on the Management Advantage.
The Management Advantage was brought to you by Realtree. The camouflage revolution begins here. Holland Grill, nothing else stacks up. Motorola, share your adventure. The Whitetail Institute of North America. Deer nutrition is all we do. Augusta Turf and Specialty Vehicle, the exclusive home of the Team Realtree Edition Easy Go Workhorse ST480. Arsenal by BASF. The Lodge of Louisiana and the BASF Vegetative Group.